She yelled, "You're a useless loser." Everyone went silent. Glasses clinked. My chest burned, but I smiled and said, "You know what? You're right." That night, something broke inside me, and something else came alive. 3 weeks ago, my girlfriend Emily, 32, humiliated me in front of 30 people at her birthday party. I'm Jake, 35, an HVAC technician, not glamorous, not flashy, but I work hard. For 2 years, I paid rent on the apartment that became the stage for my public humiliation. Emily works in luxury skincare. Marketing, she lives for image. I live for reality. The party was meant to celebrate her, but I had spent the entire day transforming our apartment into a mini-event hall, catering, decorations, even a bartender I hired for the night. I spent nearly $1,000, ignoring my own plans, just to make her day special. Her college friends, work colleagues, and a few social media influencers she wanted to impress milled about. Everything seemed fine, until it wasn single quotes T. around 10 p.m. I stepped into the kitchen for more ice when I overheard her friend Samantha chatting about summer vacations. Emily said, "We're not going anywhere. Jake can't afford it right now," I suggested, gently. "Maybe a weekend camping trip at Lake Arrowhead. It's close and fun." She rolled her eyes dramatically. "Camping? Seriously? That's your idea of a vacation?" Her friends snickered. I should have walked away, but I tried reasoning. "It's what we can actually afford if you want to keep your BMW lease." That's when she snapped. Wine in hand, designer dress, standing like a queen in front of her court. She spat out, "Jake, you are a complete loser. You fix air conditioners for a living. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it is when people ask what my boyfriend does? These people have real careers." I looked around. Samantha's dating a surgeon. Melissa's husband owns 3 restaurants. And me, I'm dating a glorified maintenance man. Silence fell. 30 pairs of eyes on me. And she didn't stop. "For years, Jake. For years. I've waited for you to actually do something with your life. But no, your content being mediocre, playing video games, drinking beer with your friends. Zero ambition. You're dragging me down." Something inside me broke. Not heartbreak, not pain, exactly. More like chains snapping. I looked at her, quiet this time. "You're right," I said softly. Her eyes widened in shock. "What?" "You're right," I repeated. "I am a worthless loser. To you, I walked to the bedroom, grabbed my wallet, phone, and keys. She called after me, "Where are you going?" "To stop being your loser," I said calmly, and walked out. I didn't look back. Behind me, I could hear her yell something about being dramatic. I didn't care. That night, I crashed at my friend Kevin's apartment. No questions, just beer, a couch, and silence. I woke up Sunday to 57 missed calls and dozens of texts from Emily. "Baby, come home. I'm sorry. Please answer." I texted back once. "You're right. I was a worthless loser. I'm working on that. Collect your things by Sunday, or they go to Goodwill." That was my line. That was my boundary. And for the first time in years, I felt peace. I spent that first night at Kevin's place staring at the ceiling, thinking about how fast everything had fallen apart and how, strangely, it felt liberating. Emily's words echoed in my head. Asterisk, "You're a useless loser." And for the first time in years, I felt a spark I hadn't felt before, spark of anger, yes, but more importantly, a spark of possibility. Monday morning came, bright and clear. I packed the rest of my things from our apartment while Emily's calls and texts kept coming. Asterisk, "Jake, please, we need to talk." Asterisk, "This is ridiculous. You can't just leave like this." I didn't respond. Not yet. I focused on the task in front of me, reclaiming my space, reclaiming my life. I set up boxes in the living room, labeling each one carefully. Her perfume bottles, her designer shoes, Her excessive collection of throw pillows, everything she had brought into my apartment. Everything she thought she owned was going back to her. I even left a few small, ridiculous items as a joke. A coffee mug she had bought me one Valentine's Day, still full of old coffee grounds, while I worked. I remembered the dream I had quietly tucked away for years, starting my own HVAC business. Emily had always said it was too risky, too small, not impressive enough for Instagram bragging rights. But now, with no one to answer to, no one to impress but myself, I realized it was exactly what I wanted. I could finally build something real. By Tuesday, I was online, filing the paperwork for my LLC, BT Climate Control. The BT had a personal meaning I kept to myself. Better than staying small. Better than letting someone else define my worth. By Wednesday, I had a basic logo, business cards, and had reached out to old clients who had once asked if I did side jobs. They responded immediately. It was like a whole new world was opening up. Emily didn't take it well. She showed up at Kevin's Thursday evening, makeup smudged, tears real, this time not manipulative ones, but pure shock. "Jake, we need to talk," she said. I shook my head. "No, we need to end this. You've spent 4 years showing me that respect and support aren't in your vocabulary. I'm done." She tried every tactic, pleading, crying, promises. "I'm sorry, I just wanted people to see you like I do. You're worth more. You deserve better." I let her talk. Calmly, I showed her boxes packed at the door. "Everything here is yours. Pick it up or I donate it. Your choice." Her mother, Diane, even came over with reinforcements, sister, friends, and of course, Samantha, the surgeon's girlfriend. They tried to reason with me, tried to guilt me. I simply repeated the truth. Jake isn't a loser. He's leaving because Emily has shown who she really is. You can't change that with intervention or persuasion. Even when Emily dropped her final card, "I'm pregnant," I didn't falter. "No, you're not," I said calmly. "You were at that work conference in Miami 3 weeks ago. Check your math." Her face went white. Her friends exchanged awkward glances. This was no longer just about me leaving. The truth was unraveling before their eyes. By the end of that week, everything escalated further. Emily tried to break into my apartment. I had changed the locks. She pounded on the door, screaming, "This is my home too." I called the police, showed them the lease in my name, proof she had moved out, and her current address. They warned her. She left, humiliated. Then came the lawyer letters, demands for thousands, emotional distress claims, and even retroactive rent credit. My lawyer laughed, literally, at the absurdity. The best part: the videos from the party had leaked. 30 people saw Emily publicly humiliating me walking away quietly, and the narrative flipped instantly. People started calling out her behavior, gaslighting, public shaming, disrespectful. Emily tried deleting posts, but screenshots and video clips spread like wildfire. By the second week, I was fully immersed in building my business. I landed my first commercial job installing HVAC systems in a small medical building. That one job alone would cover 3 months of expenses. Emily, meanwhile, had been fired from her marketing job for conduct unbecoming and spiraling on social media. Her BMW was repossessed. She was living with her mum, posting tearful apologies, but everyone could see through it. I started sleeping better, eating better, even lost 10 pounds from not overindulging in her fancy, toxic dinners. The more I focused on building my own life, the lighter I felt. I realized that the label loser only held power if I let it. And now, ID, and single quotes BT. Climate control was alive, small but thriving. Clients were calling for referrals. Jobs multiplied faster than I had imagined, and every time I looked at the logo, I smiled. Better than being diminished, better than being told I wasn't enough, better than settling for someone else's version of worth. The irony: the people who had once witnessed my humiliation at Emily's party, the same Samantha, Melissa, Kevin now congratulated me. They saw the truth. I wasn't a loser. I was just a man who had finally chosen himself and Emily. I ran into her once at a gas station. She had a cracked windshield Honda Civic, barely keeping it together. I drove by in my new truck, BT Climate Control logo shining, and she turned around without a word. That was the closure I needed. After that gas station encounter, I felt a sense of relief I hadn't known in years. Emily's judgment, her insults, they no longer mattered. My mornings now started with planning jobs, checking emails, and mapping routes for BT Climate Control. The first big break came unexpectedly. One of the clients from the medical building called me for an urgent repair at their neighboring clinic. Word spread. Referrals started trickling in. Meanwhile, Emily's spiral became almost public entertainment. Her social media was a roller coaster of tearful apologies, motivational quotes about knowing your worth, and occasional rants disguised as self-reflection. The irony was delicious. I was building something real while she was trying to salvage an image that no one respected anymore. Her Instagram followers were dwindling. Even the influencers she had tried to impress started posting subtle hints about authenticity over Facade one afternoon. I received a DM from Samantha, the surgeon's girlfriend. "Hey Jake, I probably shouldn't be reaching out, but after the party, we all realized you were the one holding Emily together financially while she took credit for everything. You dodged a huge bullet." I laughed. "Thanks for letting me know. Means a lot," she added. "Also, the clinic I manage might need HVAC work soon. Interested?" That one job turned into 3, then 5. BT Climate Control began growing faster than I expected. I was still hands-on, but now with the satisfaction of knowing I was valued for my skills, not my image. 2 weeks later, Emily tried another tactic. She texted from her sister's phone. "Jake, I need help. Mum is kicking me out. I have no job, no car, no money. I'll do anything, therapy, public apology, whatever you want. Just please don't let me end up homeless." I stared at the phone for a long moment. I remembered every insult, every moment of shame. Then I typed carefully, "I hear McDonald's is hiring. They don't care about your job title." She replied immediately, "You're cruel." "No," I answered, blocking her. "I'm just no longer your worthless loser. Good luck, Emily." Life moved on. BT Climate Control secured its first commercial contract with a small chain of dental offices. I hired my first employer, a young guy, fresh out of trade school. He reminded me of myself before I ever let someone else define my worth. Teaching him, mentoring him, I felt a sense of purpose I'd never known while living in Emily's shadow. The irony wasn't lost on me. The same people who had laughed at my supposed loser status were now impressed. Kevin stopped by one afternoon with a celebratory beer. "Dude, you're killing it. Starting from scratch takes balls." Samantha chimed in with a text, praising the professionalism and reliability I brought to the table. Meanwhile, Emily's life looked like a cautionary tale. Fired from her marketing position, living with her mum, struggling to make ends meet while trying to maintain a social media persona. Her supposed influencer life was crumbling. The videos from the party still circulated her public humiliation, a permanent digital footprint. Her attempts at apologies were met with skepticism, and even her friends now questioned her behavior. One day, I got a call from a client who had heard about my story through a local networking group. "We need someone who can do quality work, and we heard about how you handled yourself. We want you." That project alone covered 6 months of expenses and solidified BT Climate Control's reputation. Through it all, I realized that the lesson Emily had inadvertently taught me was about self-worth and ambition. Not the kind that looks good on Instagram, but the kind that builds a life. Paying bills, showing up for clients, doing honest work. That was worth more than any leased BMW or designer dress by the end of the month. My apartment was a reflection of my new life, clean, organized, functional, without any trace of the chaos Emily had brought. Every morning, I walked into a space that belonged to me, made for me. Every night, I slept without the fear of ridicule. without the weight of someone else's judgment. And yet, even as Emily faded from my daily life, I understood something important. Leaving her wasn't just about escaping humiliation. It was about claiming myself, about proving that I wasn't a loser, that I had ambition and drive, even if it didn't match someone else's Instagram perfect standard. When I looked in the mirror now, I didn't see a man defined by someone else's scorn. I saw someone who had rebuilt, brick by brick, from the ground up. And for the first time, I knew my worth wasn't determined by her opinion or anyone else's. It was mine to define. Life had started to feel almost surreal. The same people who had witnessed my humiliation at Emily's birthday party, the laughter, the whispers, the judgment, were now watching a completely different version of me emerge. I'd been called a useless loser in front of 30 people, but now I was the man people came to for advice, for work, for reliability. BT Climate Control wasn't just surviving. It was thriving. The first big social test came unexpectedly. I ran into Melissa and her husband, the restaurant owner, a local diner. They waved me over. "Jake, we've been hearing about BT Climate Control. Heard your first few commercial jobs went smoothly. Respect, man." I smiled, shaking their hands. The irony was delicious. These were the same people who had once judged me, comparing their prestigious careers to mine as if I were beneath them. Now they were impressed. Samantha, the surgeon's girlfriend, became an unlikely ally. She DM'd me sporadically, giving leads on new clients or asking for referrals. "You really dodged a bullet with Emily," she said once. I replied simply, "Thanks. Means a lot." It felt good to have support from unexpected corners. People who had seen the truth now respected it. Meanwhile, Emily's public persona was unraveling. Her tearful apology video went viral, but not in the way she expected. People roasted her online, pointing out inconsistencies, hypocrisy, and her obsession with status. I didn't engage. I didn't need to. My life was too full to waste energy on her drama. Her BMW was gone, repossessed. Her apartment was empty. Her social media a sad display of attempts to salvage her image. The Instagram perfect world she had curated collapsed, leaving her with a life far less glamorous than mine. One afternoon, I received a call from a larger medical practice downtown. "We heard about your work at the clinic next door. Can you give us a quote for HVAC maintenance across 5 of our locations?" That single call transformed my business trajectory. I was no longer doing side jobs or relying on referrals alone. BT Climate Control had officially stepped into a serious, reliable business league. At home, the changes were just as significant. I remodeled the apartment slowly, carefully, without the clutter of Emily's tastes and preferences. No more scented candles that gave me headaches. No more throw pillows that were clearly more about aesthetics than comfort. Every piece of furniture, every decoration, every corner reflected me, my choices, my priorities, my peace. Even Kevin noticed the change. "Dude, you look different. Calm, happy, like you finally own your life," he said one evening while we cracked open a few beers. I nodded. "Yeah, I do, and it feels incredible." The social aspect wasn't without surprises. Some of Emily's former friends reached out, apologetic, trying to gauge where I stood. Samantha, Melissa, and a few others told me stories I hadn't known. How Emily had twisted narratives, blamed me for things that were never my fault, and spread gossip to maintain her image. It was validating, yes, but more than that, it reinforced why leaving her had been the only logical choice. One evening, while reviewing client schedules for the next week, I glanced at the BT Climate Control logo on my truck parked outside. Better than being diminished, better than being undervalued, better than letting someone else define myself. Every job we completed, every satisfied client, every word of referral was proof that I was more than Emily had claimed. 2 months after the party, the ultimate test of closure came. I ran into Qley and her husband at a restaurant again. They laughed as we recounted stories of the party, but this time it was admiration, not gossip. We all knew Emily was high maintenance, Qley said, but we didn't realize she could be that cruel. You handled it perfectly, Jake. I laughed, shaking my head. I just did what I needed to do. Stop being her loser. Emily's attempts to reconnect became even more desperate. She texted sporadically, claiming she had changed, promising apologies, begging for guidance. I didn't reply. My life didn't have room for someone who had shown so little respect and so much toxicity. BT Climate Control continued to grow. I hired a second technician, then a third. Jobs expanded beyond residential HVAC to commercial maintenance, even small industrial projects. Every contract built my reputation further, solidifying my independence and financial stability. I wasn't just surviving, I was flourishing. The ultimate irony. The label she had used to try and diminish me, useless loser, was now meaningless. The life I built, the respect I earned, the people who valued me for who I was, and the work I did, all proved that self-worth wasn't measured by luxury cars or Instagram followers. It was measured by integrity, diligence, and the courage to walk away from toxicity and build something real. And so, standing in my remodeled apartment, reviewing schedules for the upcoming week, I felt a satisfaction deeper than any paycheck, deeper than recognition. I had claimed my life, my dignity, my future. I wasn't defined by Emily, by her words, or by her friends. I was defined by my choices, my work, and my perseverance. Emily's breakdown became harder and harder to ignore. Her social media was awash with supportive posts, tearful apologies, and desperate attempts to reclaim an image she had long since destroyed. But people didn't believe her. Her followers dwindled, and even her influential friends began to mock her online. She had built her image on status, style, and perception, but reality was catching up with her. One day, her mother, Diane, called me. Jake, I just want to say you were right. I didn't realize it at the time, but Emily, she was tough. You treated her with respect, even when she didn't deserve it. I missed her, feeling a strange mix of closure and vindication. Emily had lost her job at the skincare company due to the misconduct of an employee, largely influenced by videos of her party going viral. Her BMW had been repossessed. She was living with a high school friend, working retail at a mall, desperately trying to salvage some semblance of independence. All the pre-planned glamour gone. The reality was harsher than any Instagram post could hide. Meanwhile, BT Climate Control was thriving. Word of mouth, coupled with a growing portfolio of commercial projects, brought in a steady stream of clients. I hired 2 more technicians, expanding our reach from residential homes to clinics, small businesses, and industrial sites. Each success boosted my confidence. Each satisfied client reminded me that my worth was defined by my own work, integrity, and perseverance, not by the opinions of others. I saw Samantha again, and she smiled warmly. You've built something amazing, Jake, and you've done it all honestly. I smiled. Better than I could have ever imagined. The irony was interesting. The people who had once whispered behind my back now respected me, even admired me. The same party guests who had once watched Emily humiliate me in public now texted me to congratulate me. The story had completely flipped. Everything seemed different. BT Climate Control was no longer just a startup. It was a fully operational business with clients, a small team one had trained, and a reputation for quality work. Every day, I felt the satisfaction of building something tangible, something meaningful. Emily had disappeared from my daily life. She occasionally tried to contact me, texts, private messages, social media posts, but I didn't respond. The urgency in her words, her attempts to manipulate or guilt me, were powerless. I had regained my peace, my dignity, and my future. The social repercussions for her continued quietly. Friends who had tried to reconcile with her began to distance themselves. The videos from the party, combined with her public attempts to justify them, made it clear who was in the wrong. Rumors spread that she had lost her high-paying marketing job, her finances were in trouble, and her social media presence was now a warning against superficiality. I wasn't gloating. I was just observing. Karma was slowly but surely taking its toll. Meanwhile, my life had expanded beyond work. I met friends I hadn't spoken to in years, people who appreciated me for who I was, not for my salary or social image. Kevin, Samantha, and Melissa were still close, always supportive, sharing experiences and celebrating wins together. For the first time in years, I felt surrounded by people who genuinely cared about me and my development. One afternoon, while working on a new commercial project, I received a surprise call from a local businessman who had heard about BT climate control through the party incident. "Jake," he said, "I've been following your work. We need someone trustworthy for our network of clinics. Can we meet?" That meeting led to 3 contracts, then 5. Solidifying the company's presence in the city. Reflecting on it all, I realized the ultimate lesson. Your self-worth is defined by your actions, integrity, and perseverance, not by the opinions of those who don't understand or appreciate you. Emily's words, intended to shame and demean me, accidentally fanned the flames. Instead of tearing me down, they motivated me to create a life I could be proud of. I had closure. I had success. I had respect from clients, friends, and most importantly, from myself. Emily's story ended with the consequences of her own choices. My story is just beginning, built on hard work, resilience, and the belief that I will never let anyone else define my worth again. And that is the ultimate victory, living a life that I define for myself, not someone else's.